Studying your local market stats can really take you from being any old local real estate agent to really being a market expert. And this is even true if you're brand new. If you're brand new but really know the stats like the back of your hand, there's a good chance that that person doesn't even ask you if you're new in real estate because you're coming off as an expert. So in this video, I wanted to touch on the 4 stats that I recommend you market, you think about, you study each and every week so that you can become that local area expert. But before we jump in, if you're brand new here, give this video a thumbs up if you get any value, and make sure you stay at the end because my favorite stat is number 4. So before we get into the 4 stats that you should study each and every week as a real estate professional, I think it's important to talk about the area that you want to focus on. When studying those stats, you want to make sure that you're studying the same area each and every time. Now, that can be a neighborhood, it can be a city, it can be a town, it can be a larger area that encompasses all of it if your MLS or whatever tool you use to access those properties has that data. In terms of actually studying the stats, I always look to the MLS as usually the best source of information when it comes to actually pulling this type of stuff up. So use the MLS, focus on a neighborhood, a subdivision, or a larger area, and make sure you're pulling up those same area stats each and every week so that you can see which way things are trending. Are they going up or are they going down? In Phoenix, I like to look at the stats for the entire Phoenix metro area. And then if I'm talking to a particular client about a particular city or a smaller section of the bigger city, then I can pull up those stats and see how they compare and actually talk to, hey, demand is higher or inventory is lower in this particular area. So pick an area that you like, stick with it. If it's bigger, great. Use your MLS to pull these stats up, and that will get you started first and foremost. So what stats should you be looking at? The first stat that I love that's really easy is when you have your particular area, how many active listings are there? This is a really easy, great indicator to tell you where is the market trending. If this week you have 1,000 active listings and a month from now it's 1,500 and 2 months from now it's 2,000, we know that that supply is starting to increase. And so looking at the number of active listings in any particular area can really give you a gauge on, again, is supply going up or is supply going down? The second stat that I recommend you take a look at and study each and every week as a real estate professional is how many listings have sold or closed in the last 30 days in that particular area. So again, we use that example of active listings. Maybe you have 2,000 active listings, but 1,000 listings have sold in the last 30 days. Again, if you keep track of that number each and every week, you can figure out, okay, are the number of closings increasing or are they going down? And this is a really easy indicator of where is the market heading, right? We've got active listings and we have number of closed listings. So those are 2 really easy stats to get you off to being a local area market expert. The third stat that I recommend that you take down and you study as a real estate professional is average days on market, right? We can look at active number of listings, we can look at sold number of listings, but it doesn't always tell us the whole story. So if we look at active days on market or days on market for when a listing closes or the average days on market for active listings, it gives us a better picture of, okay, if someone were to list something today, how long would it take for that listing to go under contract, or how long would it take from the time they started to actually close on that property? And now that is a specific designation there, right? Some MLSs have and will provide you stats on this is the average time an active listing is active, right? From the time it gets listed to the time it goes under contract. Some other MLSs will also tell you from the time it's active to the time it actually closes. Both stats are great, but just make sure you understand and know what you're looking at. The final stat, my favorite stat that I look at each and every week for my local Phoenix market area is months supply. Okay. Now, some MLSs aren't actually going to provide this stat, but if they don't, you can calculate it yourself. So what is months supply? Months supply is a great stat that basically tells you, okay, if no new properties hit the market today, how long would it take us to sell out of our current inventory? And so in the Phoenix metro area, we've had a really low month supply basically since the start of the pandemic up until a couple of months ago. And so our month supply hovered around 0.5 to 0.7. And so what does that tell you? That tells us if no new properties hit the market, we would sell out of our current inventory in a half of a month, right? 2.5 weeks. Now, this tells me that we are in an ultra competitive, or we were in an ultra competitive seller's market. Now, since interest rates have gone up, guess what? That month's supply number has also gone up. We went from 0.5 to 0.7 to 1.1 to 1.5. And today, as of recording this, we were at 2.6 months supply in the Phoenix metro area. So just by looking at that one number, I can tell that, hey, the amount of inventory that we have is going up. Now, either we have a ton more listings or things aren't selling as quickly, or a combination of the two. So that stat in itself is great, and I love to look at it each and every week. Now, what do you do if your MLS doesn't actually provide it? Now, this is something you can easily calculate yourself. And the way you do that is by taking the number of closed listings in the last 30 days, and you take the number of active listings that you currently have in that same area, that same market, right? So you take the number of active listings and you divide it by how many listings have closed in the last 30 days, and you get months supply. So if there are 1,000 active listings and 500 closings in the last month, you take 1,000, you divide it by 500, and you get a month supply of about 2.0. Okay, now it's important to remember with this stat, it's not perfect, right? It's always moving, it's always adjusting, it's always fluctuating, but it is a snapshot today and where that market stands. So hopefully you found some value from those 4 stats. Now, the next video I recommend that you watch is a video I just released on 3 content creation tips for real estate agents. If you're not creating content today, you're not really building a brand. So make sure you check out that video. I'll put a link up top here. And as always, drop a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.